how does the company respond to this political moment? And do you want to take us back to what it was for Alvin to be helming this company in the midst of the civil rights movement?
You're just such
toil?
a wonderful guide, Susan. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. We're going to talk about Masakela Langage. We're going to talk about, this company started in 1958. Guess what was going on in 1958? You know, think of where the United States was in 58, all right? Think of, let's see, us being on tour and going to, I don't know, someplace in the middle of the country. We were touring these one-night stands that we were doing. And we got off the bus once, and we went into a restaurant. We were served sour milk, rotten eggs, and the food was kind of thrown at the table and everything. That's where we were on tour in, at least when I joined the company in 65. So here we are in response. Let's see, we put on the most fantastic performances that we possibly can. And Alvin thinks of these wonderful ballets like Masakela Langage.
Can you explain to the audience?
Yeah, Masakela Langage is a response to apartheid. And we were having a response already in Blue Suite. If you've ever seen it, you got to look it up. Blue Suite is the flip side of Revelations. Revelations is triumph, it's sorrow, it's, you know, it's faith, you know, it's dignity. And Masakela Langage and Blue Suite are the same people. Blue Suite are the people that are on Saturday night partying, knowing they can't get out of a place, but they're still going to have a good time, and they're still going to bring you their suffering. They're going to bring you their angst, but they're also going to bring you their joy. And that's Saturday night. And then Sunday morning, they're just more pious about it. You know,
they're atoning for the sins committed.
I've been scorned. Now, Masakela Langage is a response to apartheid. Same people, same trapped people can't get out. Only there's such an angst inside of Masakela Langage because they never get out. There is some joy. There's a party girl in the midst of all that sorrow. There's always strength inside of that. There's always power. There's always perseverance, but there's a heaviness to that that is amazing. And Alvin wanted that to reflect that apartheid and also the apartheid that was going on in the country.
Yeah, because it was made in 1969 when
Yes,
all of our cities were on fire. And our cities are on fire yet again.
Hello.
And in 2014, you premiered the ballet Uprising. And it happened to premiere on the night that the decision in the Eric Garner case that the police would not be tried for the murder of this man was handed down, and there were riots and uprisings. And the audience was not thrilled with seeing this very political piece, they thought. And yet, now you have a new piece coming up, which we're going to be queuing up and showing, Untitled America, which is about the crisis of mass incarceration. Tell me about, please, deciding to do this piece. When did you order it? And
Yeah.
by Kyle Abrams.
Kyle Abraham, who's brilliant,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Well, I can only say this. What I love so much about modern dance, you know, first I thought I wanted to be, you know, a ballet dancer. I wanted to wear those shoes and, you know, be a prince and do some, you know, tours and some pirouettes, which are fabulous. But then I saw the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. I saw Revelations. That spoke to my heart because I grew up in the church. My mother had a group called the Afro-Americans that did poetry and song relating to the Black experience. So at any given time, you would be hearing, you know, the words of Mari Evans or of Paul Laurence Dunbar. I mean, this is when I was yay high. I was hearing this stuff. I was being introduced to my history. And the idea that it was done through song and then through dance, or when the preacher would preach, you know, that was a whole performance in and of itself, because this man would jump over the pews and into the thing. There was something that struck me about this kind of energy, but also that you could tell the truth about the world and how you see it. So that's innate in me because that's how I grew up, you know. And when I saw the company, that's what I saw on the stage. So I don't always think I'm making a bold choice. I think that I'm making the choice that I know how to make because it's coming from my gut. And one of the pieces of advice that Judith Jamison has always given me, she didn't tell me what to do. She said to follow your own singular voice. That's why I chose you. So I have to remind myself of that and trust that what is in here is what is necessary. Even when I don't totally believe that I'm being bold, I'm just being myself. Uprising, I had no way of knowing that that would be at the same time. At least we say I don't have any way of knowing, but you know, we know more than we think we do. And although I'm sure some people were sort of stunned by seeing that bit of realism at the same time or whatever it was, I can remember one person who said to me after the performance, she said, you know, I felt torn about coming to the theater that night because people were taken to the streets. We were walking to go and see a performance, and I felt like I should be out there too. And then the curtain went up, and there was uprising, and I felt good about being exactly where I was supposed to be. So that's a story too. Kyle Abraham, you know, this work. How many people do I know live in and out of prison that I grew up right next to? You know, when he called me and he said he wanted to do this.
And when was that exactly?
He called me, I was on Sawmill, coming from my house in Connecticut. And you know, Sawmill is like this. And then he's on the phone and said, he has this idea. And I was like, sounds great, you know. I'm serious. He was on, and he said, I want to do this work. It's about families in prison. And the thing that really sold me on it, I was already sold, but this wonderful singer, and I can never pronounce her last name, Laura
Imvola.
This song, Father, Father. And he said, listen to that song. I did. I sent it to you. It was so beautiful because what I loved is that he was going back to the primary source. You know, sure, it's political, everything's political, but he was going to those primary relationships to tell the story from the beginning, which I thought was brilliant.